All right, let's go ahead with your questions. And if you guys missed something, then I'll throw it in there at the end. Go ahead.
You mentioned maybe a little bit of regret in going into overtime and not starting Drew Daniel against North Texas. I want to know how long does a regret like that sit with you in a season where you didn't get another game?
Oh, yeah, not. Hi, Coach. Not not very long. No, not very long. Yeah, you got to work through those things, and we talk with our players about it, all the time. It could happen in a game. We could see it play out in live action, right, where a guy either reacts or doesn't react. Most times to a play that they wish they would have done better, right? But all that does is take the energy away from doing the next best thing. Okay, so for me, it's and that one maybe to give, and I did a little bit with J Dub, but to maybe give just a little more context. Not to do with any of the five players that were on the floor. Trey did not have a very good game. Mostly to do, maybe almost entirely to do with the foul trouble. He got two right away, he's out. Gets a third one, he's out. Like he never got into the game. And Trey and I talked about that after we got home. Had a conversation about it, and that's a hard game to play when you aren't on the floor and can get yourself going and get that sweat going and get into the basketball game. And now, having said that, Trey talked about it as well. He has played against Wisconsin, against Co, and in our practices, in the top 3 or 4 of our entire roster, all the way up until the North Texas game. Right? And I know our entire team felt like Trey was going to play really, really well in that game. The foul trouble knocked him off track. So he would have, Drew would have went in for Trey, but most of it to do with having a lineup on the floor with somebody at each position. I know that's what I did talk about after, so that we could get into our playbook and work to find an easy basket to start overtime. And you hope to get, maybe you get 2 of them in the first 3 or 4 possessions, right? And you get the lead, or you have it in a spot where you can shorten that game without tightening. Can you get the lead, or can you shorten it a little bit, that 5 minutes? So back to your original question. Yeah, not very long, right? And I feel the same way now, right? I've worked through it, right? But that doesn't stick with me very long. No, you got to get on to the next thing.
It seems like this is a pretty long time between game number 1 and game number 2. After a game like that in North Texas, would you rather get right back on the floor, or do you like having this time to fix things?
No, I would have rather played on Friday or Saturday, right? And just the way the schedule happened to fall. I mean, you're right on, Mark. I mean, you want to go back out there and play, right? Because we did a lot of really good things in that basketball game, right? We made some mistakes, some to do with both teams did, right? You're playing your first real game, so you make some mistakes, and as part of being early in the season, but we competed really hard, right? And we had a number of very good defensive possessions, right? Those 2 things allowed us to have the ball. To win it. Right? We ended up getting 2 shots, but to have the ball to win the basketball game when we didn't play, we weren't as sharp with some things offensively that would have allowed us to, maybe be up 7 or 8 with a minute to go instead of being, up 2 before the last 2 possessions defensively. So, would have rather played Friday or Saturday. Okay? Just the way the schedule worked out and where we could get the games, but I would have rather been on the floor playing Friday or Saturday.
Looking back over the film with 2 guys that had 5 fouls, another that had 4. You've talked a lot over the years about playing defense without fouling. Was there something that stood out on film that you've been able to attack in practice this week, or kind of just that's the way the whistles went?
Yeah, for Titan, I loved how he played. I mean, he was aggressive both ends of the floor, right? And made a lot of great plays because of it. Okay? So we're not going to since we've gotten back. We're not going to adjust that at all or have conversations about backing off at all. He plays best, and he plays that way a lot. But he plays best when he's playing at that with that kind of aggressive mentality. And so some of the other ones just really being ready to play. And we've that's something we've talked about all fall. Right? Can't be surprised when a guy drives it. Right? A couple of them, I wouldn't say a lot of them, Cole. A couple of them to do with scouting report, just recognizing things, the awareness and recognition, and then being ready to, engaged would be the word, right? And I've used that one a lot with some of our players. Like, you got to play. Like, and so there's a couple of those, right? But no, nothing big, nothing wholesale.
Overall, coming out of that game, as much as a loss always stings, did you get to a point not too long afterwards where you're like, man, they're a good team. Sure looked like we're a good team playing the way we did. You know, as much as you're always going to be studying your team and, you know, taking a loss as a loss. Like, I know watching that game, it sure looked like two really good college basketball teams.
Yeah, I felt more of that after I got done watching the game on the way home. We did. We had a large portion of that game. The defensive possessions were really good. Right? For the first time out, for the first real game, we had a number of really good defensive possessions. And then, like I said, the other thing was being in position to win a game when you don't play your best, right? And that tells you, that tells you a little something about your guys, a little something about the team you've got. Is being in position to win when you've left some things on the table, both ends. But I would say more offensively. We had 7 or 8 plays offensively that, we made most of the play, and then we made the mistake right at the end, right? And that right at the end was going to be something at the rim or an open 3-point shot, right? And the way that game played out, we needed those. We probably needed 4 or 5 of those, 4 or 5 of the 7 or 8. We needed to make the last part of the play, so we had an opportunity to get an easy 2 or get a catch and shoot 3. So there was a lot of positives in the game, right? Now we got to get back out there and play.
What do you know about Loras?
They returned their top 7, and they added Jack Molstead from Wartburg. Jack's one of the top, 4, 5, 6 guys in that league. He was last year, and he's been over the course of his career. So you've got 8 guys that are really good players, and they got a couple younger guys that they've played. They played twice this weekend. They're going to play fast. They took and they're going to. They shoot a bunch of threes, right? And they got a number of guys that can make them. They'll shoot them early. They'll shoot them in transition. They'll shoot them at any point in the possession. So really good in the open floor. They've got a very experienced team. They're picked 2nd in their league. I know we saw Coe in the exhibition game. It looks like Coe and Loras and Central, one of those 3 teams. With watching these 2 and looking at some of the stuff around the league, one of those 3 teams is most likely going to win their conference. So, Loras got a good team. You got a couple of really good individual players, but 7 guys that played together, right? And Jack's a really good player. He had a great career at Wartburg, and he joined a really good team. It's a team that can win their league without any question.
What's the status of West Rubin?
Yeah, we'll have still working through a little bit of it. Right, we able to get up and see the doctor, and have had a lot of conversations. Right, I would say something. He won't play tomorrow. Right, he won't practice today. He won't play tomorrow. We're through almost all of the conversation. Right, we've had a lot of conversations with Wes and with the staff and with Bish and with the doctors. I would say in the next couple of days here, Ethan, we'll have more for you on that. Right, but he won't practice today, and he will not play tomorrow night. And it's to do with his ankle.
I spent most of the time watching the game yesterday, but I did look over my shoulder at one point and saw a couple of your underclassmen in the stands for the women's game.
Yeah.
How awesome do you think it was for those guys to experience the kind of fan support that the women's team could get, and then maybe kind of picture that for the men's team as well? Because I've seen just as big a crowd for the men's team a number of times already. Sure.
Yeah, I do. What an awesome day. Tanya and her staff and her team, her student athletes. Not only are they good right now, and certainly earned that type of crowd, that type of environment with the group they have right now, but they've been doing it for years. You look at what Tanya's done, and again, it would go longer than just the current roster. Right? Man, they've been good for a long time, and to have that opportunity, to have something that good happen for Tanya. Really happy for her, and really happy for their staff, and really happy for the roster they have right now, for them to be able to come out of the tunnel and feel that. I just thought it was awesome. And I was here, and watched most of the game, and man, I just thought it was awesome. And just again, really, really happy for Tanya and her staff and her team. Yeah, and certainly good for our guys. You know, whether they're younger and hadn't been in here yet for a game of ours that has that type of crowd and atmosphere, or guys that have been here and have played maybe in the Loyola game or other games where we've had that type of atmosphere. I think I think it's great for those guys. Good. Thanks.